The Gary Peterson case is one of the most unsettling and complex murder cases in recent history. Gary Peterson, a beloved community member and respected businessman, was found brutally murdered in his home, a crime that shocked his family and friends and left investigators scrambling for answers. As the investigation unfolded, a web of deceit, betrayal, and dark secrets was revealed, culminating in a trial that captivated the nation. This video delves into the details of the case, the investigation, and the trial, highlighting the complex dynamics and psychological factors that led to this tragic event. The victim, Gary Peterson. Gary Peterson was a 45-year-old entrepreneur who lived in the quiet suburban town of Maplewood. He was known for his generosity, integrity, and dedication to his family and community. Gary ran a successful real estate business and was deeply involved in local charitable activities. For those who knew him, Gary was a model citizen, a loving father, and a devoted husband. However, beneath the surface of Gary's seemingly perfect life lay a series of personal and professional challenges. He was going through a contentious divorce with his wife, Linda, and was dealing with financial stress due to a downturn in the real estate market. Despite these pressures, Gary remained optimistic and focused on rebuilding his life. The discovery. On the morning of October 15, 2019, Gary's neighbor noticed that his front door was ajar and decided to check on him. Upon entering the house, the neighbor made a horrifying discovery. Gary Peterson was lying in a pool of blood in his living room, having sustained multiple stab wounds. The neighbor immediately called the police, and the Maplewood Police Department quickly arrived at the scene. Detectives noted the signs of a violent struggle, with furniture overturned and blood splatters throughout the room. The initial assessment suggested that Gary had been attacked with a sharp weapon, and the ferocity of the attack indicated a high level of personal animosity. The police began their investigation, looking into Gary's personal and professional life to identify potential suspects. The investigation. The investigation into Gary Peterson's murder was complex and multifaceted. Detectives from the Maplewood Police Department interviewed Gary's family, friends, and business associates to gather information about his recent activities and possible conflicts. As they delved deeper into Gary's life, they uncovered a series of troubling revelations, suspicions, and leads. Early on, detectives focused on Gary's estranged wife, Linda, as a potential suspect. The couple's contentious divorce and ongoing custody battle over their 2 children provided a possible motive. Linda had been vocal about her dissatisfaction with the financial settlement and had previously threatened Gary during heated arguments. However, Linda had a solid alibi for the night of the murder, and there was no physical evidence linking her to the crime scene. Investigators then turned their attention to Gary's business dealings. They discovered that Gary had been involved in several high-stakes real estate transactions and had made some powerful enemies in the process. One of his business partners, Tom Reynolds, was known for his aggressive tactics and had a history of legal disputes. Tom was brought in for questioning, but denied any involvement in Gary's murder. Despite his hostile demeanor, there was no concrete evidence to tie him to the crime. Breakthrough. The secret life. As the investigation progressed, detectives uncovered a secret aspect of Gary's life that no one had suspected. Gary had been involved in an extramarital affair with a woman named Rachel Mitchell, a real estate agent who worked for his company. Rachel and Gary had been seeing each other for over a year, and their relationship had become increasingly intense. Rachel was interviewed by the police and revealed that she had been with Gary on the night of his murder. According to her, they had argued about his ongoing divorce, and Gary had expressed fear for his safety due to threats he had received. Rachel provided an alibi for herself, stating that she had left Gary's house around 10 p.m., an hour before the estimated time of death. Despite Rachel's alibi, detectives found inconsistencies in her statements and decided to conduct a more thorough investigation into her background. They discovered that Rachel had a history of volatile relationships and had been involved in several domestic disputes in the past. Her cell phone records also showed that she had been in the vicinity of Gary's house at the time of the murder, contradicting her earlier statements. The arrest and confession. Faced with mounting evidence, Rachel Mitchell was arrested on charges of first-degree murder. During a series of intense interrogations, Rachel initially maintained her innocence. However, under the weight of the evidence and the relentless questioning by detectives, she eventually broke down and confessed to the crime. Rachel revealed that she had been deeply in love with Gary and had hoped that he would leave his wife and start a new life with her. When Gary made it clear that he was not ready to commit to their relationship and was considering reconciliation with Linda, Rachel became enraged. In a fit of jealousy and desperation, she attacked Gary with a kitchen knife, stabbing him multiple times until he succumbed to his injuries. Rachel's confession provided the final piece of the puzzle and brought a sense of closure to the investigation. The case against her was solidified by forensic evidence, including her fingerprints on the murder weapon and her DNA found at the crime scene. The trial. The trial of Rachel Mitchell began in March 2020 and quickly became a media sensation. The prosecution presented a compelling case, supported by Rachel's confession, forensic evidence, and testimony from witnesses who had seen Rachel and Gary together. The prosecution argued that Rachel had acted out of jealousy and rage, driven by her obsession with Gary and her inability to accept the end of their relationship. The defense attempted to portray Rachel as a vulnerable and emotionally unstable woman who had been manipulated by Gary. They argued that Gary had taken advantage of Rachel's feelings and had strung her along, leading to her emotional breakdown and the tragic events that followed. However, the jury was not convinced by this argument. After a lengthy and highly publicized trial, Rachel Mitchell was found guilty of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The verdict was welcomed by Gary's family and friends, who saw it as a just outcome for the brutal and senseless murder of a beloved community member. Psychological analysis. The Gary Peterson case has been the subject of much analysis and discussion among psychologists and criminologists. Rachel Mitchell's actions illustrate the potential consequences of intense emotional dependence and the impact of unresolved personal issues on behavior. The case highlights the importance of addressing underlying psychological factors that can lead to violent behavior and the need for early intervention in volatile relationships. Rachel's ability to maintain a facade of normalcy while harboring deep-seated feelings of jealousy and rage speaks to the complexities of human behavior and the capacity for deception. The case has prompted discussions about the role of mental health services in preventing similar tragedies and the importance of providing support for individuals struggling with emotional and psychological issues. Impact on the community. The murder of Gary Peterson had a profound impact on the Maplewood community. The brutality of the crime and the betrayal involved shocked the public and raised awareness about the potential dangers of unresolved personal conflicts. Community leaders and mental health professionals have since emphasized the importance of providing support and resources for individuals struggling with emotional and psychological issues. Support services and mental health resources have become more accessible in the aftermath of the case, aiming to provide assistance to those in need. The tragedy has served as a catalyst for change, promoting a more compassionate and understanding approach to addressing personal and psychological struggles. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the chilling Gary Peterson case. It's a tragic reminder of the potential consequences of unresolved personal conflicts and the importance of addressing psychological issues. If you found this video informative and want to hear more true crime stories, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel.